All right, Pops, more and more we are seeing consolidation in the auto market. What does that mean for consumers? And what do I even mean by consolidation in the auto market? We're moving away from mom and pops and we're moving to more kind of corporate conglomerates,
Yes.
correct?
The mom and pop dealerships are going to be few and far between. My suspicion is that where you will continue to find mom and pop dealerships will be in small rural communities. Any mom and pops that are in large metropolitan areas or suburban areas around large metropolitan areas will probably ultimately be taken over by the large publicly traded dealer groups, the AutoNations, Lithias, Asbury's, Penske's, Sonic, Group 1.
Yep.
And what that ultimately will mean for the consumer, well, there's less competition.
Yeah, so let's do a quick history lesson.
And by the way, less competition usually means higher prices.
No, I mean, we all know how that works. Let's avoid a car monopoly, although look at Tesla in the EV market, you kind of already have one.
Yes.
And you can see what impacts that has. The MSRP changes weekly. Let's do a quick history lesson.
Yes.
So car dealerships have been around since the 1890s, I think.
Oh, I have no idea.
I think it's around there.
Okay.
The 1890s are like 1910s. Don't quote me on that, but car dealerships have been around for well over
100 years.
Over 100
maybe,
years.
Yeah, over 100 years.
The concept behind them is to be a local monopoly. Like that is the concept for the manufacturers, to have a local monopoly of their brand in a specific area.
To service what the manufacturer calls a primary marketing area for that dealership.
Exactly.
Known as a PMA.
There you go.
Thinking about getting an extended warranty? Go to joinyaa.com and check out our pricing there. There's no obligation, no spam, no robocalls. YAA for your extended warranty.
Now, dealership groups traditionally had been family-owned and operated. Like an example would be the group that you used to work for before you retired. They owned what, like 10 dealerships in the
9 or
Maryland
10,
area?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Priority One Automotive. What happened to Priority One recently?
Well, they were purchased by AutoNation in November.
Okay, so more and more of these family-owned and operated dealership groups, which have made a lot of money and done very well for themselves, have been getting gobbled up by the big publicly traded ones, because the big publicly traded ones are pitching that they'll have more efficiencies and they'll be able to sell the right cars to the right places, move them around similarly to those of the likes of CarMax, Carvana,
I
et
think
cetera.
corporate speak would be, we could build on our synergies.
Yes, lots of synergies that they can build on. They come waving really big checks.
Typically speaking, yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you're selling multiple dealerships, you're looking at a 10-figure, 11-figure check.
Could be.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at hundreds of millions of dollars for multiple dealerships.
Yes, I mean, Prime Automotive Group, which is in New England, which was
What was that, 32 dealerships?
but it was like $800 million, and then the dealerships and I forget who bought them, but those that they didn't buy, they sold to another group, and when everything was all said and done, it was close to $1 billion.
So there's a lot of money when you sell your dealerships.
Yes.
There are more and more deals happening. Even as the market conditions have been a little shaky here, there's more and more deals happening, which, to your point, Dad, leads to less choice for the consumer and, quite frankly, just more ironclad, hey, here's how we do business, it is what it is.
Yes.
And let's be very clear here. AutoNation leads the league in assists, but they don't lead the league in assists. They lead the league in F&I revenue per vehicle retailed.
Yes.
They make $4,000-ish per vehicle sold just in the finance office, $3,500, $4,000, somewhere in that area. The more consolidated it becomes, the more, hey, this is just how we do business. This is AutoNation. The higher ups told me to do this. That's what it becomes.
I might be the local manager at the local dealership, but I report to an area manager who reports to a corporate vice president who reports to the CEO, and all the stores operate in the same manner. We have policies and procedures that are followed and in place in every store, and this is how it's done. And when you have that, you lose a certain amount of autonomy to where you can build established relationships as a customer with the actual owner of a dealership.
Yep.
And if you build that relationship, and if the actual owner builds that relationship with his customers, it benefits everybody. This way, you're dealing with a corporation that, I don't know, might not have the same sense of community as a mom and pop store owner who wants to underwrite the Little League, or the bowling or whatever it is. So when you lose that sense of community. You lose the ability to really negotiate a good deal.
Yeah, of course, because you're just negotiating now with the higher ups in some ivory tower
Yes.
in whatever headquarters.
Who are never going to meet any of the customers, and so they can take the position that is somewhat anti-consumer and not have to answer for it because they're not the ones that are ever going to speak to the customer.
To me, this is the beginning of the great roll-up, which I want to talk about here in just a second. But to give you some context and perspective, Lithia is
Yes.
now, I think, the largest. AutoNation might be.
I believe it's Asbury. I keep getting them confused.
Lithia, Asbury, and AutoNation are all huge.
Yes.
Lithia right now, Dan,
and Penske.
in April,
Yes.
has $1.9 billion in annual revenue under contract for potential dealerships that they're going to purchase. So under contract dealerships, they're going to purchase $1.9 billion in new revenue that they're about to buy.
Wow.
And to me, Dad, like I said a second ago, the great roll-up. I know we have divergent opinions here. I think we're moving in the direction of the OEMs taking more control and owning more of the customer relationship because we've seen Tesla do that to great success and fanfare. And what's interesting is if you're Ford and you're watching these big publics, Lithia, Asbury, Penske, AutoNation, consolidate all the little guys, guys and gals, it's honestly just going to make it easier for Ford to go to AutoNation in the future and be like, all right, we want to buy back all 200 of the Ford dealerships that you own. That's easier than going door to door to all of the local Ford dealerships and be like, hey, we want to buy you, we want to buy you. I think it's going to do, I'm not saying that's anytime soon, but I think it makes the great roll-up even easier for the OEMs to do in the future.
I would disagree. And the reason I would disagree is because as publicly traded companies, these companies have a fiduciary responsibility to their investors. And if they were to sell back any of their branded dealerships to the manufacturers, it would be at an extremely high premium. So I think it would be more expensive and unlikely.
I hear you there, but I also think it could potentially open up the door for that. Long story short here, as consumers, we should be weary of consolidation in automotive because it's not only buying a car, it's also the servicing of vehicles. And we know for a fact that servicing vehicles at a dealership can be expensive, can be quite expensive. Labor rates will be higher potentially than other places.
The average repair order today is over $500.
Not cheap.
No.
So as we see more and more consolidation, it's just less optionality for the consumer. So long story short, as this momentum continues, as people like the folks you used to work for see the checks come in, the valuations are through the roof, we're going to see more and more sales. As consumers, we need to be ready to essentially push back against the new conglomerates, the new...
It's going to be hard.
The new, what's it called when it's not a monopoly or a duopoly, a triopoly, quadopoly, pentopoly? What's six? I know sept. Sept is septopoly.
It's
octopoly.
It's an opoly.
What's nine?
It's
Decaopoly.
It's an opoly.
That's 10.
Yeah. Okay. Great. It's an opoly. That's enough of your opolies.